So Marie, I want to thank you for joining me and being
Thank
my
you for having me,
inaugural guest.
Paul.
But yeah, we're using this platform to just help, as the title of the project says, help elevate the level of New Mexico and the people in the industry, and kind of keep the good mojo moving forward.
Yeah, I like the way you put that, because it
Yeah,
is good mojo. I mean, it's not that we need to. It's not that we need to get better. We need to keep raising our standards. We're already
yeah,
really good. Everyone's doing great. We just need to keep it up. Keep it up.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a mentality, not everybody, but there's a mentality in some people here and in some people in the bigger markets. You know, they refer to us as New Mexico actors, New Mexico
Yeah.
crew.
Hmm.
And my mentality is always, no, I'm an actor and I live in New Mexico. My zip code does not define my talent level.
Yeah.
So,
Hello.
you know, the nice thing is we have these New Mexico film conferences every year, but if people can't get there, they miss out on these talks. And I think
Okay.
this is a great place for people to go and access at any time. So let me start with this. We'll start with the basics of, if you can give us a little, background in terms of, how did you get into this?
I actually got started in this accidentally, which the story is silly and funny, but I had dropped out of college for a semester and moved back to Taos to take care of my mom, who was going through chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was in Taos, unemployed and bored, my mom was in the grocery store with my little sister, who was then 5, and she bumped into Joe Edna. And Joe Edna was auditioning for Off the Map at the time, which was Campbell Scott directed movie with Joan Allen and Sam Elliott. And she asked my sister right in the grocery store, "Can you say this line?" And Mia, my sister, she said the line, and Joe Edna was like, "Great, you have a call back tomorrow with Campbell Scott." And my mom said, "Well, I have another daughter who needs a job." And that was it. That was the beginning of Joe Edna was like, "Great. Well, does she want to come read for me for my session with this director?" And she would have to read lines, and my
Yeah.
mom was like, "Yes, she'll be there." And I was there, and that was it. I PA'd. I worked for Joe Edna as a casting assistant, and then I moved into set PA on that project. And then
Okay.
I came back to Albuquerque and continued to went back to college. But every time Joe Edna came back to town from Austin to work on a project, she'd say, "You want to work? Do you want to, you want to be my assistant?" And then I graduated, and it was like, "Okay, well, now you're my associate." And now I'm co-casting director. So that
So,
was almost 18 years ago.
wow.
Yeah.
So let's start from your end of things. As a casting director, things don't, I'm assuming things don't just fall in your lap, that just like everybody else, you have to get a job. And
Right.
so how do you get your jobs? And so to speak, what is the process, for you to get chosen to cast a specific project?
Well, I'd say at this my stage right now of the game, it's really sort of Joe Edna's coattails, because Joe Edna gets called because she's Joe Edna.
Right.
And at
And
her
repeat
stage of the
customers
game,
and things like that too.
right, yeah. And so it's like, if the Coen brothers come to New Mexico, they call us. We don't need to interview for the job.
Right.
Um, and generally speaking, different studios, we have relationships with, Joe Edna has relationships with. So they'll come talk to us, or, LA casting directors will have a better relationship with another local casting director. So they'll sort of veer the producers in that direction, and then we won't get the job. So it's a lot of reputation, who we've worked with before, how who recommends us based on that.
So majority wise, is it the network that you interview with, or is it the LA or New York casting director?
It's usually producer and director.
Okay.
But I think the step before that is generally that, because LA casting is on long before pretty much anybody else.
Right.
they will say, oh, you're headed to New Mexico, you should work with.
Okay.
So that's sort of where the interviews come in. And then sometimes it's like, they will say work, audition or interview another casting director, and the director will say, oh, well, I've worked with Joanna Boldin's office, I would really like to see that, so the producers will say, okay, well, let's interview both. So then that's when it sort of would come up to, basic,
Right.
who they trust more for the job, and then sometimes it doesn't pan out.
Or you go in the back alley and you duke it out, and whoever wins gets the job.
May the best man win. That's
okay.
just, it's still, I guess, who But at this stage of my career, I'm grateful that Edna has brought me on as co-casting director. So I go into those meetings and those interviews with her to sort of, so that I can, oh, my head is on there backwards. So I can facilitate my own relationships now.
Absolutely. I mean, the truth of the matter is life is about relationships, whether it's personal or business or whatever. And how much lead time do you guys get in terms of, okay, you're on? How much prep work do you need before you start calling people in?
It depends. If it's a TV show, generally it's only a few weeks, because then, if it's like a pilot, they'll give us 3 or 4 weeks leeway, but then we only have a week, or an episode to catch up with the next episode. Films are usually like 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the size, sometimes 10 or 12 weeks if it's a really big project.
Right. You're talking the whole job.
The whole job, yeah, because we're done as soon as they start shooting, yeah.
Okay.
Generally speaking, because no director wants to be picking actors while they're in the middle of shooting. So they try to get all that wrapped up as soon as they're done, which means we're gone.
And that's what I've gleaned over the years, is that episodic television it's a weekly or 8-day cycle, and so every 8 to 10 days they're going to be casting the next episode.
Right.
But they seem to tend to want to cast the entire film before they start, and then you're done with casting.
Then we're done. Yeah. And sometimes things will come up, they'll be midway through and they've written in something, or something's happened and they need to recast or something, in which case we'll get pulled back in for, a very short stint just to pull another role in or something.
So once you get into the casting process, how do you choose what actors to call in and how do you, I don't want to say you choose not to call somebody in, because that's not the choice. The choice is, who do I choose to call in?
Right. Of course. Again, relationships, a lot of it is, we always want the best actor to win. Edna always reminds me, we're never obligated to see anybody, because I'm always like, oh, that person was so horribly rude when they came in, and it's like, we don't have to see people. We have there is nothing in the game book that says you have to be fair to everyone. So, if somebody comes in drunk or awful or something, we don't have to bring them back. So we generally see people we can rely on, actors who we have a relationship with. We know we're going to show up prepared. We know they're going to be professional. We know they're charismatic and we like them in the office, because we have to be around these people. We want to like them. That's a big part of it. Obviously, we always want to see new people as often as we can.
Sure.
It's a little bit tough, because I know it's not specific to my office or any casting director's office in particular, but every casting director gets accused of seeing the same people. They all see the same people. They only see the same people. And I think that that's partially true, because we're hired to do a job. And our job is to present the best possible, whatever, actor, actress, person for this position. And with every person we put forward to that production, that's a letter of recommendation from us. That's our reputation on the line. If they don't show up, if they flake out, if they whatever, that's on us. because of course we have such an influx now in New Mexico of new actors coming in.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun to see new actors. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, where have you been? This is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's
And
like,
to find
oh,
somebody who isn't known and introduce them.
yeah, totally. Which has been fun because I know it's like a lot of, I don't know. I hear a lot of comments from people about, oh my gosh, so many people are coming in and they're going to take our jobs. They're going to take, and it's like, I just don't believe any of that's true. I think there's going to be enough work for everyone. And again, it's not California actors or Atlanta actors. It's like, they're actors. You're all actors. So
Absolutely. And I agree. I'm a big believer that you're not auditioning against anybody. You're either right for it or you're not. And if you are, you'll get it. And if you're not, you won't.
yes, no, I think that's exactly right. Cause it's like, I just hear so often there's sort of this, headbutting between actors. And it's
Right.
one thing that you'll hear me say a lot actually. But I don't believe that's true for New Mexico. And I love that we have
Yeah.
such a supportive talent group. And, you know, I watch actors who have come in for the first time, watch our regular actors in the waiting room, you know, give each other hugs and say, break a leg, you know, congratulations.
Absolutely.
And, you know, new people to our market are like jaw drop, like, why are they so nice to each other? And it's like,
Well, if you're going to be seeing these people all the time, why not get along?
and all chips rise, you know. It's like, if somebody
Absolutely.
tells you break a leg and gives you a big smile, and then you go into your audition feeling like good about yourself.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's just, everyone looks good. I'd rather have to show a director 15 really good actors than 2 really good actors, you know. It's like, everyone should be great.
And in terms of auditioning actors, again, I know every project varies and differs, but is there an average about how many actors you get to see per role? Or it
There's
could go anywhere
not.
from 2 to 3 to 20 or 30.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, you know, in our market, it's like we do not have a lot of African American actors or Asian actors. So if that role is calling for that specifically, or if the role is a huge leading supporting guest starring role that we know is really meaty and really deep, there's only a handful of you that we can bring in for something like that. Not because we don't love all of our actors and we don't believe in everybody, but I've been watching New Mexico actors work for almost 18 years. I know who can handle 5 pages and a recurring role and who's
Right.
not quite there yet.
Right.
So that'll vary. If it's a
And
cashier that's just saying a line, we can see, you know, 150 people. We won't.
right.
But so that's where it's sort of, we have to weigh
Right.
out who we want to see.
And you mentioned something, you know, about African American actors and Asian actors, and the thing that I'm seeing from my perspective, and I'm assuming from yours as well, is not only is the industry more open to diversity, but I know that our local agents and casting people will get a breakdown and say, well, you know, why can't this be, you know, an indigenous person or an African
Yeah.
American person, or, you know, that anybody could be a doctor. It doesn't matter the color of your
Yeah, yeah,
skin.
totally. That's kind of where the creative process comes into the casting
Mhm.
process, where they meet, because that's the most fun part, is really saying, well, what about, I know this is your idea, but what about maybe, can we show you something else? And I don't know, 9 out of 10 times directors will go, oh yeah, show us who you think is good, you know?
Yeah.
Unless there's some very specific reason that they
Right.
have to be, you know, if there's a racial tension in the script that comes up later, or,
Right.
you know, but generally speaking, I mean, it goes all the time in our office, may the best actor win.
Right.
So,
And I guess from there, how much input do you have on widening or changing a character breakdown?
um, not a ton, but we will stretch it. So that's when, like, when we send a breakdown out to the agents, and the agents will send us their people based on the breakdown, and all the agents will send we'll widen the parameters on their own. We will constantly be like, why the heck did she submit this person for this role? They're totally not even kind of in the same ballpark. Which is probably the talent agent trying to use their creative process.
Right.
And then often we'll go, okay, that could work. Let's try it out. And so we do the same thing. The breakdown generally comes from LA or comes from the writers, the producers, whoever. So we have to stick to that, generally speaking, have it approved. But then we will see people outside of that, which again, actors, often we will hear, well, I was submitted for these 7 projects and I wasn't brought in. And it's like, just because you're submitted for something doesn't mean you're right for something. Right. So, you know, don't begrudge your agent if you're not getting auditions. Don't even begrudge the casting director if you're not getting auditions. It's something that actors have to prove themselves to.
Absolutely. Just keep doing the work.
You have to keep doing the work. Again, it's our reputation, you know. I know people get really like, well, I was in one time last year and never again. And it's like, well, maybe you need to think about what happened to that one time you were in that you didn't get called back in. So,
and I think the thing that, you know, it's not a criticism, but we're all so involved in our own lives that we tend to forget, you know, that the agent is trying to make a living. The casting director is just trying to get a job. The producer is trying not to lose their job. The head of the studio doesn't want to get fired, you know, that everybody's trying to do their best at what they do.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And we're all pieces of a puzzle. And it's like, you know, you said it, if we're right for it, we're right for it. If we're not, we're not. So
absolutely.
And we'll be wrong. We've often been wrong. We'll bring in a whole day of people and have them doing something. And the director will go, no. I wanted this. It's like, oh, okay. That would have been great to have that information before we started. But alas, we're back at it.
It's all about minor adjustments.
Yes, of course.
So, so now kind of going from the actor perspective, part of preparing for an audition is obviously doing the best version of the character that's written as you can.
Right.
And that involves, you know, whatever, you know, if you're doing a 4 or 5 page scene, you want to kind of get to know who the character is and do the research. And it seems more and more when you try to get a copy of the script so you can read it and do your best work as an actor, you're denied that that chance.
Right.
And it would be great to hear from your perspective why it's getting more and more difficult to be able to get your hands on a script when all you want to do is do your best work.
Right. I honestly, Bob, I don't know, because we run into that, I mean, all the time. Sometimes it's hard for me to get a script. Edna will get a script and it's like, she'll have to, you know, make me swear up and down that I won't show it to anyone. It's like, well, duh, but I need it to do my work. How am I supposed to know what the hell we're doing if I don't have a script? Which is obviously how you guys feel as actors. How am I supposed to know what I'm doing if I can't even get a friggin' script? So honestly, I don't know. It's generally, I think it's just that everybody's worried about spoilers and ideas and.
Well, and yes, I think it's probably the abuse of social media.
Right. Yes. Yeah. No, I think it is. And I also think a lot of it on the production side is just a lot of overreaction. I think it would probably be totally fine if people really wanted a script, give them the script, you know. Of course, I can't make that call because I don't want to lose my job. So, but I do think
absolutely.
I think that you guys should very much get a script if you feel like you need one for a meaty role. I mean, sometimes people will ask for like a 2-line role, and it's like, just say the lines, just say them.
Right. But when you read sides, sometimes you know this is it, and other times you're like, okay, there's more to this story than I'm getting here. But and tell me if you agree with me. This is my perspective. The thing that I think is important for actors to know is if you don't get your hands on the whole script, casting knows that, production knows that. Totally. So if you're missing a key point in the overall script, they're not going to hold it against you because you don't have that information.
Absolutely. And I think, as you know as well, being an actor and a coach, but I always say if you have a question that's really pertinent to the decisions that you've made or the prep work, ask it. You never want to go into a casting room asking like 5 questions, because then it's like, well, that's cool, so you haven't done any prep work at all. You're just winging it until you got here. But yeah, it's ask, what's my relationship? Have I met this woman before, or are we just meeting? Or, do I hate her? You could ask something that's vital to your character choice. And
oh, by the way, she's your birth mother.
right. Well, I have a set of sides that I give actors every once in a while as practice work. And it's always funny to see how they perform the scene, because I never tell anyone what the relationship is until afterwards. And it's like, oh yeah. But the other side of it, the lesson is, you could have asked me what the relationship was.
Right.
People get real angry yelling at this other character, and it's like, she's actually a 16-year-old girl who's just lost her father. And it's like, oh shit. It's like, yeah.
Right.
So you should have asked me.
And I think, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it's important. I know that some actors are afraid to ask questions because either they don't, they're not sure they can, or it's the fear of looking unprepared, or,
Right.
that they're going to judge me for not knowing. And I think it's important for them to hear, no, if you have a good question, ask it.
Totally.
Totally.
But I mean, really keep it to, if you have a good question, ask it.
Right.
Don't,
right.
Because some people really will come in, what about this and what about that? And it's finally like, well, why don't you just show us what you worked on and we'll go from there? Because, you have to have done some legwork on your own. So, but yeah, it's really interesting, Bob, in the room to see which actors, they're so it's obviously a sliding scale, but it's like, the professionals who know what they're doing will come in. If they have a question, they'll ask it. If they, need an adjustment, they'll take their time. They'll give you their scene. They'll give you their performance confidently, comfortably. And then it's like, you get the people who are sort of green and afraid, and they're trying to get out of the room as quickly as possible. They zoom through the scene and then they jet. And it's like, well, wait, don't. I mean, we have one actor who I was literally like, as soon as his scene finished, I would stand in front of the door, knowing that he would say his last line and be like trying to get outside. I'm like, stop it. We're not done with you yet. So, and we would he's a great actor, but he was like, always felt like he was wasting our time. And it's like, you're not wasting our time. We have invited you here.
Exactly.
We want you here. But then the other side of that,
this time was actually scheduled for you.
This is your time. But then there's the other side of the scale, where you have these people who come in and they've got 47 questions and they want to tell you what their backstory is and how they decided the character should be. And they're going to tell the camera person where the camera should be and tell the reader when to pause. And it's like, okay, no. You don't do that. So it's the middle ground.
Right. Okay. I think we may have answered a bunch of them, but what are some of the biggest mistakes you see actors making in the room?
Well, my favorite saying is, the less you say, the less chance you have of making yourself look like an asshole.
Okay.
So, I like that one. People tend to think that they can talk their way into the job. It's like actors will come in being very flattering, and I met your friend and I know this, and your hair looks really pretty and I like your dog. And it's like, great. Can you do the scene? Do you know your role? Do you know the lines?
Yeah.
My least favorite thing is when actors who we haven't seen for a while come in and say, long time no see. Like, cool. Now you've just totally assumed that I'm dumb and didn't pick up on your wildly passive aggressive comment. Thank you very much. I just really love it when actors come in confident and comfortable. It's like, just know that you've been invited to this. This time has been scheduled for you.
Right.
We want you to do well. I mean, and we really, I know it's like said so often, but nobody ever believes it. We want actors to do well. That's
Right.
our job. We're not like waiting for you to totally blow your line so we can judge you when you walk out
Right.
the door. We're just like
twirling your mustache.
no, we're like, oh my God, please nail it. Please nail
Right.
it. What information can we give you to help you nail it? How can
Because if you nail it, we're done. We've cast it. It's over.
Yeah, and if you do really well, we look really good. It's totally selfish. It's like the better you do, the better we look. So
absolutely,
yeah, we're on your side.
Yeah,
completely.
How do you feel about actors holding sides and using their sides?
I think actors should always have their sides with them, whether they're in their hands or in their back pockets. Not that they should use them. You should know your lines. But as every actor knows, you know your lines inside and out, upside down. The minute that you have the camera staring at you and the casting director staring at you, you have no idea what your first line is.
Yeah.
They get so nervous. So
your pulse kicks up 20 to 30 beats.
Yeah, and you're suddenly like, so that's not where you want to be when you have to say, oh, what's my first line? I left my sides in the car. Or you've got to pull your phone out and you're searching for the email that had the sides.
Right.
That's when you need to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are.
Right.
And look down. You should know your sides well enough that if there's a particular sentence or word that catches you up, you know where that is on the page.
Right.
You know, you shouldn't be flipping to page 2 or 3 because you think it was maybe at the top. Oh no, maybe it's at the bottom. You should know the sides well enough to know exactly where your hangups are, that you can. And I love that. I love watching actors who will have their sides and never look at them. But as the pages, you know what I mean? At the end of the page, they let go.
They'll just switch them over. Right.
Yeah, because they know where they are, but they're prepared enough to be able to look down.
Right. But if an actor is in the middle of a really great audition and forgets a line, you're fine with him going down, getting it, and coming back, right?
Absolutely. But I mean, that, as you know, that takes training to do that well.
Absolutely.
If you're in the middle of a really great audition and you have us completely hooked and you go up on a line, either improv it and just roll with it, or be totally still in your scene that you can look down and we don't know you've been looking for a line.
Right.
Because that will immediately take us out. Yeah, that'll take us out of a scene in a heartbeat. Gosh, I can't tell you how many actors will get midway through something really great and go, oh shit, I messed that up. Can I do it again? It's like, really?
It's like, no, you were doing so good.
Yeah. So, it's like fake it till you make it. You should always read the lines as the writer has written them. But if you're having an issue with your scene, keep going. Go all the way through it,
So you finish all your auditions, and it's time to cast. Who makes the final decision? I mean, I know it's a collaborative effort, but at the end of the day, who makes the final decision in terms of who gets cast for a project or not? I'm assuming producers?
It depends on what kind of a project it is. Some projects, like generally Coen Brothers projects, they get to make their choices. They get to say, we want this person, and this person. Generally, like the TV shows that we've been on, the director can weigh in, but it's a lot the writers, the producers, the showrunners. They generally have to come to an agreement on who they like.
Right.
So it's almost always on movies, the director, and then they have to sometimes get approval if they're sort of new or if it's a bigger project,
Right, the network,
have to
all of
get
that.
the okay on that. And TV, it's a much larger list of people who have to say yes, all the way up the line.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but so you audition people, you cast who you like for the role, then you pass that along to the office in LA or New York, and then they pass that along to the directors and the producers and all of that?
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't even need to go, like usually we'll always include the LA casting just so they're in the loop of what's going on.
Right.
Sometimes they want to be the first ones to see it, and then they'll pull out who they like, and then they'll put that forward. But yeah, usually, at the end of the day or the end of the session, we will decide, well, this person blew it and couldn't get through the lines, and this person was great, and whatever it is, we'll send that chunk of people forward to the directors, the producers, and generally it goes to 4 or 5 people will get that link so they all can sort of weigh in.
Being an actor in a local market, how is it determined whether you get cast, they determine to cast a role locally, or they bring somebody in from one of the major markets?
That's a great question. Usually it's the size of the role. If it's one of the leading roles, and we often, see how I word this carefully. We often hear people very angry that we don't get the opportunity to audition the guest stars or the sidekick to the leads or whatever that is.
Or even the series regulars.
Yeah, sometimes the series regulars. And on TV shows, say, a lot of that has to do with falling back on relationships. The writers, the showrunners, whoever it is, they've worked on 17 other series, and they really like this guy who played that role in that show, and he'd be great for this, so and with that comes that guy who had that role on that show that they worked on. He's more famous or got more of a following or whatever that is, has a more recognizable face, which of course everyone wants in their TV show because they want to up ratings. So that's where, it's like I constantly am telling people that, and this is the most obnoxious analogy, and I'm sorry, but the pie has already been made. The writers, whoever it is, the creators of the project in New York, in LA, wherever they are, they've already made the pie. So what they do is they come to New Mexico and they say, we'd love to share this pie. And it's like, we have a lot of actors who are like, well, it better be gluten-free and blueberry, and you have to cut it into 12 slices. And it's like, okay, we don't want to share our pie with you now. So it's just, we are getting much bigger roles. You had an amazing role on Midnight Texas. And from when I started working in this industry in New Mexico, we were auditioning SAG roles that were no lines. It was like, oh no, we don't trust those actors. We need to see them say hi, or what. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. And now we're at the point where we do get to audition a lot of people that are up against LA, New York, whoever it is, huge talent. And that decision is generally made between LA casting and the directors and then us. They'll say, well, we're going to look for this role is going to be in 7 episodes and it's pretty big, and and we'll say, okay, we've got a good handful of people that we'd love to show you for that role. Great, show us. Yeah. The producers would love to get it from here, get it locally, because they'll save a truckload of money.
Right.
But then it comes down to, okay, well, this person might be great, but Sigourney Weaver wants the role. It's like, okay, well, I guess we have to give it to Sigourney Weaver.
So if you don't know an actor, or, like you alluded to earlier, somebody will say, I haven't seen Marie in a year and a half or whatever it is.
Long time no see.
Right. But the thing is, and the thing is, if you look at it a broader picture, there's lots of reasons why, there might not be a role that's right for you. You might have worked on the show already and that's the only thing they're working on, so
right. Yeah, so that's forth. A big one.
But what can an actor do to get on your radar, whether they're represented or not represented. You know, you don't want people showing up. You don't want people bothering you. But what
Right.
what can they do to get on your radar to, yeah.
Well, first of all, I think everybody needs to be represented because it's not realistic in our office. And some casting offices have 7, 8, 9 people working there. We don't. On average, we have 2 of us in our office. And when we're lucky, we have 3, and that's total. So if I've got a list of actors I need to call in 2 days for an audition or tomorrow for an audition, I have to work out all the information, get the sides done, get the sides watermarked, get the emails generated and sent to the agents. They all, 4 of our agents. And the agents will get back to me with conflicts. And he can't come in at 11. Can he come in at 1:30? He's got an audition with Kira at whatever it is. The agent deals with that.
Right.
The agent also has a great, the emails that your agent sends out. It's like, bring your headshots, don't ask questions. Here's the director. Here's all the information. So you have that. Here are directions to get there. If you have conflicts, let me know. So we don't have time to do that. If I had to do that on top of generating cast lists and deal memos and creative lists, I mean, it's impossible.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many actors will say, oh, well, I don't have an agent right now, but you'll remember me, right? I'm the guy with the funny hat. It's like, I know. I've forgotten to call my sister in for roles she'd be perfect for because she didn't get submitted. It's like, I'm sorry. When I'm in the thick of it, it's like I'm going to my lists.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. And for people,
to get on, to get on the radar.
And then for people who do have representation but aren't on your radar yet.
Well, I think the best thing, I love it when your agents, generally all the agents, will really highly recommend their actors. I mean, when actors blame their agents for not getting work, I always laugh because it's like, your agent wants you to work. That's the only way they get paid.
Absolutely.
They're totally in your corner. So the best thing to do is, network. Be in touch with your agent. If you were in a casting office a year and a half ago and you haven't been seen since by that casting director, you should probably figure out what happened. If you feel like you were really green and maybe you just blew it because you weren't prepared and you weren't comfortable enough in the room, take classes, study with somebody, go to panels that the casting directors might be on so you sort of get a feel for what they like, talk to other actors, do a bunch of indies and shorts and background work if you need to get more comfortable in the scene, and then acknowledge. I really think acknowledgement is important. Send a postcard saying, I saw you about a year and a half ago. I was really green and I know you, I haven't seen you since. Would like for you to know that I've been studying a lot and I'm getting really good feedback from whatever it is. And then let your agent know. And the agent will go, oh yeah, she's been studying with Bob and Bob's saying great things about her. And, she was really green. She's gotten really confident. She's been doing a lot of self-tapes. It's like, oh, great. Okay. Yeah. Let's see her. So it's that sort of thing. And I know that it's a catch-22 for a lot of actors because classes, training can be expensive and headshots are expensive. All of the actor stuff is expensive. And I'm a really big advocate of don't spend money before you have to, if you can do a bunch of background work first, or you can, get in on a crew, even if it's a weekend crew doing craft service, just so you can watch how the actors work.
Right.
You have to just take those baby steps to really get there. I mean, it's important that nobody's just there, and you have to always be exercising it. So
right. Well, there's a, it just all boils down to my philosophy of just keep doing the work.
Yeah.
That your job is to get so good that people can't ignore you anymore.
I love that. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Um, so sometimes you'll send out auditions and an actor, they're like, I'm just not connecting to this role, or I'm not comfortable with this material. If an actor turns down an audition, do you hold that against them?
No, but sometimes yes. And here, make sure that you're declining a role in a way that you are not saying, I know your job better than you.
Right.
You know,
But if
sometimes
somebody,
actors will go, well, I don't
like
know
if I
why.
say I'm not comfortable playing a mass murderer.
Yes, absolutely. And we did I remember when we did auditions for North Country. I don't know if you remember, that was the Charlize Theron in the mine, and she's like wildly sexually harassed by all these men in the mine. And we had a full day where men just walked in and said, and I was the reader, and it was like by the end of the day, I was like, I just want to shower and cry, and this has been the worst day ever. And we had a good handful of men that said, I'm sorry, like I've got a daughter, I'm I'm married, I'm not comfortable doing this. I don't want my daughter to ever watch this movie. Fine, I totally respect that. And then other men with wives and daughters and whatever, they were like, it's fine, I'm an actor. So
Right.
no judgment either way. But it's like, sometimes we have actors come in and go, I just really don't think I'm right for this one, but the one he's reading against, could I do it? It's like, no, you don't. If you just don't want to read for it because you're not connecting, just say, I have to decline this for, whatever reason. I don't feel comfortable playing this role. But be very careful about sort of insulting the casting director.
Be respectful, right?
Yeah.
And and the reason I ask is I've had people, say to me, I'm really not comfortable with this material. And I'll say, well, just, have your agent let them know that you want to pass on this. And they're like, can I do that? I'm like,
absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
It's better than going in and being uncomfortable and not doing good work and basically getting in your own way.
Right. And then what if you get in your own way and
what if you book
that, and you book it, and then what? Then we have, it's like, then you have to turn it down. And it's always important to me, and I say this regarding auditions and bookings and everything, but life is always the most important thing about any actor. If you don't have life, you're not going to be a successful actor. If you don't have experiences and trials and tribulations in real life, you can't bring that to acting. So you have to be truthful with that. If you're not comfortable doing something, be true to yourself. That's only going to make you stronger in other elements, that you're being true to yourself.
Right.
So, we don't hold that against people.
Yeah. Good. And I just think it's important for people to hear that from you.
Yeah, we had a great audition not too long ago, and it was a teenager role. And I want to say it was either fuck or shit, something. But the kid did not feel comfortable saying it, which, like, bless his sweet little heart. I don't know a teenager in the world who isn't like, sweet, I get to curse on camera, but I have to. He was not comfortable, but he said, if I got cast, I would absolutely do it for the shoot. But he went through that whole audition just over and over again going, shoot, darn. It was like, it just is the way it works. Would you say it if you were cast? Because there might be a reason that the writer wants it this way, whether it's insulting or not. That's the writer's choice. So,
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you have to live your life.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So to wrap this all up, I'm sure I could keep asking you questions forever, but is there anything you want people to know and understand about what your role in a project is that we may not know?
I don't think so. I feel like we covered it. It's just like, the things that are really important to me are kindness in our community. We have to be kind to each other. We're all going to do better the nicer we are to each other. It's the way that the universe works. If you're, just be nice. Be nice. Everyone, we're all going to do better. We're all going to look better from the other people who are looking at the New Mexico actors and the New Mexico casting directors, we're just going to look like actors and casting directors.
Right.
The better we do. And we have such a strong community.
Well, not only do we look at it like it, but that's what we are.
We are.
You
We're so strong. We're up very equal against all of the other big markets at this point.
Right.
So that's really important. It's always important to remember that, the energy you bring to a room or to an audition is really what you leave behind. We can sense, we're human beings. We're all in an artistic, creative industry, so we're generally pretty intuitive. If you come in and you're pissed off because you only have 2 words and the guy before you have 3 pages, or we can sense that you're unhappy, or you could, if you're feeling emotional that day, or you're whatever it is, it's like, make sure what you leave behind is something that we're not going to tag on to you forever,
Yeah. And in that vein, if somebody comes in and is just having an off day, you have enough of an eye to see they have talent, they're just having a bad day.
Absolutely. And because we see so many of I don't even want to say the same people, we see people again and again. Right. Often we'll know that. We'll go, the hell, that was weird. He never does that, And we're not, oh crap, well, I guess we're not going to see him for another year. It's like, that was an off day.
Right.
We had an actor once who, bless his heart, he has passed away since, years ago, waited for his turn in the waiting room, waited, walked in and said, I was up all night. I'm not feeling well emotionally and I'm not prepared, but I didn't want you to think that I wouldn't show up for an audition. So I'm going to bow out. I don't want to waste your time. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. We're human. We're not like, oh God, it's like, dude, okay. You need a hug? Like, what's up? Everything okay? If you need anything? Yeah. And that was it. So it's like, just keep in mind that we're also human,
Right.
But we're also hired to do a job. So.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Marie, I want to thank you for being our inaugural episode.
Yeah, of course.
Stay well.
You too.
And wash hopefully, sometime in the not too distant future, we'll all be reconvening and sharing stories and moving forward on what we're here to do.
Yes, totally. And please feel free to email, call, whatever, with anything, questions,
Great.
Whatever.
All right. Well, again, thank you for your time. And
yeah, thank you, Bob. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.